is necessary to say extract coal from a coal mine, extract metal from a metal deposit, plow a field, till a field, help grow cotton, cut down trees. And what we see is, over and over, the material that is used to provide portable power for all the machines that extract just about every raw material we have in our civilization are powered by diesel, which is a product of oil. So when you look at wood, it's trees cut down by loggers using oil-powered machines. When you have metal in anything in your life, it's mined by people with oil-powered machines. When there's any coal, it's mined by metal machines. When you get fruits and vegetables, it's by industrial-scale equipment powered by oil. So oil is not only providing a basic raw material, but it's extracting all the other raw materials. So that's stage 2. But there's even another stage. How did this building get here? How does any new structure, any new development? We often talk about the developing world. We want it to develop. How does any new big development come into being? Well, when we want to develop things that are kind of on an existing place, for instance, the products in a factory, what we can have is we can have a fixed source of power, which doesn't need to be portable. So, for instance, most factories are powered by coal or by natural gas. But when we're trying to make something new in a place that doesn't already have an established grid and not already has a lot of reliable power going there, what you need is a portable source of energy. And that's why this building was built, I would bet a lot of money, unless it was extremely, extremely old, using oil-powered machines again. So any construction project, you see those trains, those tractors, those excavators, those are all powered by oil. So it's the materials. It's extracting the materials. It's constructing things out of the material. And we haven't even talked about driving your car yet. So let's talk about now transportation, which is kind of stages 4 and 5. First, I want to talk about transportation for business, because this is something we don't value. Think about the things in your life and think about where they're made. Just about everything you buy had to be brought to you somehow. It had to be brought to the store, and you had to go to the store. And sometimes it was across town that it was made, but rarely. Sometimes across the state, sometimes it was across the country, and often it was across the world, which is why your TV says made in Japan, not made in Minneapolis. You have all of these products from China that you buy at Walmart that are extremely, extremely cheap, including that jacket I was talking about. So why is this? Why are we buying products from all corners of the earth? Well, it's because a global economy, one that incorporates as many people as possible, is by far more productive and more efficient than a local economy, because you're incorporating, instead of having only a couple of brains and a couple of sets of resources involved, you have the entire resources of the world, the entire brains of the world, collaborating together, and everyone can specialize in what they produce best. So China can specialize in what it produces best, and within China they can do that. Japan, Taiwan, Singapore, America, Brazil, etc., etc. So every time you see a made in label, right? So I go to Walmart and I buy, I need a new tool set, but I don't feel like spending a lot of money. You can buy a $10 tool set from Walmart that's made in China. And how crazy is that? It's in China, and you can get it for $10. Well, the reason it's so cheap is because A, they figured out a way to make it really cheaply, but B, they figured out a way to transport it really cheaply. And the way to transport all these things very cheaply is oil. So it's gasoline, or jet fuel, or diesel fuel that's making cheap, portable transportation, and therefore the entire global economy possible. So every time you get a pineapple from Hawaii, every time you get the top-of-the-line TV on the market that wasn't made next door to you, oil is what is making it possible for it to be there cheaply. If it was much more expensive, you wouldn't be able to afford it. So that's the 4th step. And the final one is oil in your personal life, which is, that's where we think about oil the most. We use gasoline, but I don't think we appreciate it enough. Because think about what it means to have your own portable, powerful source of transportation. It means you can visit family and friends wherever you want, even if they live across across the world, even if they live across the country. It means that you can go wherever you want, whenever you want, on your own timetable. So if you get sick immediately, you can drive right to the emergency room. You don't need to worry about anyone else's bus schedule. You can get there. If you need to make a trip on the way to the work to the pharmacy to get some important medicine, you don't need to have some sort of complex public transportation to go through. You just go there. By the way, the medicine, another thing. Medicine is made of oil because petroleum is a great way of delivering different forms of medicine. Go right to work. So there are so many ways in which your personal life is made incomparably better by the existence of portable, cheap transportation. Now, to give you an idea of how I think what I think the right way is to think of this, I'm going to read you a quote from the early 20th century when people didn't take portable transportation, individual transportation for granted as much as we do because they didn't grow up with it. And this was an oil salesman. He was educating gasoline attendants on how they should remember how valuable your product is. And this is what he said. He said, what was his quote? He said, "My friends, it is the juice of the fountain of eternal youth that you're selling. It is health. It is comfort. It is success. You must put yourself in the place of the man and woman in whose lives your gasoline has worked miracles." And oil really does work miracles in our lives by providing the material of our lives, by extracting the rest of the material of our lives, by constructing almost everything in our lives, by transporting almost everything in our lives, and by transporting us and making our lives much better and happier. So this is our so-called addiction to oil. Now, if Al Gore were here, I'm pretty sure he would say at this point, well, okay, oil does some of that stuff, but we can replace that all with green energy, and that we don't have to worry about any of those. So that's what we want to look into now. Can we actually replace this with green energy? By green energy, I mean predominantly the ones that are supported most by Gore are wind, solar, and biofuels. Al Gore is not a supporter of nuclear energy, and neither is the core of the green movement. So there's some green people who support nuclear, but the dominant part of the movement doesn't, and therefore nuclear has not been a major focus for the green movement. And they say we can definitely, Gore has said, he's on record as saying, we can get rid of 100% of fossil fuels by 2018. That's 9 years from now, using solar, wind, biofuels, and the like. So this is a Nobel Peace Prize winner. This is not a hoodlum. So we should take him seriously as a representative, and he's certainly the most popular environmentalist in the world. So let's look at this. To evaluate whether these technologies can replace oil or not, what we need to really focus in on is we need to understand what makes oil so distinctive. Now, one thing, which I'm not going to focus on that much, is it does have certain chemical properties that make it by far the best thing for petroleum products. So as far as the green substitutes for that, I'll just say flat out, there aren't any. There aren't. But that's 15%. So someone could theoretically say, okay, we don't worry about those, we're just worried about the fuel. But that's part of what makes oil so difficult to substitute for. There are fossil fuel possible ways of providing petroleum products. Even those are hard, but we'll talk about those in a minute. But the core of it is the idea that these can replace oil as a fuel, as a source of portable energy. So the question then is, why is oil so hard to replace as a source of portable energy? I gave a lot of examples of how it's used, but I want to distill down what I think is what makes it so uniquely valuable so that then we can evaluate alternatives and see, do they provide the characteristics that oil does? So I divide the characteristics into density, energy density, reliability, and scalability. And any substitute or replacement for oil has to have these characteristics. If it lacks any one of them, it cannot be a replacement. So what is energy density? Well, energy density is the amount of